Okay, what's going on, family? JV Wins and Dogon SS are back with another video on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and do you boys a big old solid. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. We certainly appreciate it as we continue to kick that logical content. Should be a pretty pretty good night of interesting topics here on the channel. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off the way that we always do. And the first thing that we are going to discuss are interesting comments that were made by Mr. Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, a big time staple in the African American community on the entertainment front. But he recently shared his thoughts on economics when it pertains to relationships. There's been a lot of back and forth about, changing dynamics of relationships in the modern day, and you know, people, women making more money than men, and how those dynamics play themselves out in modern relationships, and so on and so forth. Tyler Perry basically is saying that women shouldn't necessarily feel some type of way about being with a man who makes less than them. But as we always do, we won't speak for him. We will let him speak for himself. So, real quick, we'll go ahead and share this, provide some context, because this is pretty interesting stuff, in my opinion. But here, this is Tyler Perry speaking on women, black women in particular, but if you want to broaden it out, women in general who are successful, who make a lot of money, who are struggling in the dating pool because they want to get with a man who at least equals them, or if not outright out earns them in terms of earnings and income, and how these women should be out here making these decisions. So here is Mr. Tyler Perry and his thoughts on that.
Listen, a lot of women, especially black women, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I will. In our society right now, black women are making a lot more money for the most part than black men. Right? There are a lot of black men who are successful, but for the most part, black women are making the money. So if you can find love, if that man works, at whatever job, and is a good man and is good to you and honors the house and honors his wife and does what he can, because his gift may not be your gift.
Exactly.
That is okay. That's not somebody who's beneath you.
Yeah.
That's somebody who came to love you at your worth. Right?
Yes.
And as long as he's secure in himself to know that, yep, she makes most of the money, all I can pay is the light bill. As long as she's comfortable enough to say, I'm going to cover the mortgage and all the other stuff, you handle the light bill, baby, you can take me to dinner every now and then. That is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's so hard for a lot of people to take in, because that means, no, I need somebody who is they need to make 5 times more, and I got to have well, go on, keep your list, baby.
Yeah.
God bless you. Hope it happens. Go on, keep your list. But when you talk about just someone to love you and support you, I know people whose men can't touch what they make. But when you see them together, that love, that support, that I got you, babe, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's
crazy. Hey, you was catching lag on yours, or just on my side?
It might be on my side. Is it still a lag there?
No, I was just saying when it was playing. It should be good now.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't notice one, but we'll see. Maybe on the back end there might be.
Okay.
But yeah. So that was sweet. That was sweet. I think. I guess the sentiment. But what did you think about that?
I feel like that's gonna go in one ear and out the other. Even Black Jesus himself, Tyler Perry, can't get these the women that don't feel this way to understand this message. So I don't think even he can actually get to them, which is, hey man, it's what's going on. But um, I just feel like it's the North American way. Um, ride or get rolled on, get on board or get left. Uh, you better be in a position where you're financially dominant, amongst other forms of dominance as well. But nah, man, women have this. I won't speak for all of them, but the North American way, right? They have this. They have this feeling of, if they're going to be air quote submissive, then the reason why they would do that is due to the fact that he's dominant in multiple categories. So whenever they step in that arena, he clearly runs it, and they feel like they can take a back seat. And one of those departments is finances. And if you're not dunking on her financially, there's probably going to be an issue somewhere down the line. So I've got more to say on this. But how do you feel about Sir Tyler Perry and his message to the black woman, or women in general, actually?
I think the words are cool, but yeah, practically speaking, I don't know how much. I don't know whether the message is receptive to most people, women in particular, given our current social climate. It's funny. We oftentimes, when we do subjects like this, we will get into a more introspective conversation about whether something is like, you know, nature versus nurture. Whether you like to use the word primal, and your logic on this is the reason why women want a guy who makes money isn't necessarily because of a social construct entirely, although it does play a role in it, but rather it is because innately, um, all the way down to sort of the chromosome subatomic level, you know, women intrinsically desire for a man to be able to dominate them in various areas because that's what they personally glean to be, insert adjective here, masculine, manly, whatever the case may be. And so it's a lot. If it, and I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you that this is like a nature versus nurture thing, and that there are certain aspects of this that are deeper than mere social constructs, and that it does boil down to more of a actual primal instinctual type thing in nature when it comes to, animals in nature, and humans are animals. And so, because that, if I'm following along with that logic, I kind of feel like these words sound great if we believe these things to be purely a social construct. But I don't think that they are. I think that for us, a large percentage of women, not even the unreasonable ones, even reasonable people, women amongst them, who might say, you know, I don't necessarily care if my guy doesn't make as much money than me, or if I make so much more, as long as you can, hold down your end of the bargain, and you can love me and blah blah blah, and you care about me, and you don't betray me or forsake the relationship, then we're all good. Even the ones who might logically be able to say that, there's still something innately in them that mostly desires guys who can dominate them financially. And so they're always going to seek that as the optimal option over a guy who cannot fulfill that. So even though I think that his words are nice and sweet and cute, there's an aspect of this that is innate and instinctual that needs to be given credence to, over the idea that it's purely a social construct. If it was a social construct, I'd be right there with him all the way. But I quite frankly don't think it is. I think that there is a part of this that is nature versus nurture. And so, it sounds good. It's like, I've met women like this. I'm pretty sure you have.
Mm.
It's like the women who say, I don't really care if you are not tall or not strong, or can't fight. I don't really care if you can't do any of that stuff. I'll still be with a guy if the connection is there. That's what they like to say, if the connection is there. But if you put guy who's not tall, can't fight, and isn't strong, next to guy who is tall, can fight, and is strong, even if the guy who is tall, even if the guy who is not tall, can't fight, and isn't strong, has a better connection with her, she's still going to be more attracted to the guy who's taller, can fight, and is strong. But logically, they will say the connection is all that matters, so I don't need all that other stuff. It's the same thing going on, where you might be able to say things and vocalize the sentiments, but there is a certain aspect of your primal nature that's going to kick in, and your body and your decision making is going to respond in kind. So I hear what he's saying, and it's a nice sentiment. I just don't know how practical it is, especially if you consider how wide the gap financially is. If it's not that big of a gap, then cool, maybe it's not a big deal. But if it's a sizable gap, him being able to change out a light bulb or cut the grass isn't going to stop her from wondering what another guy who makes 50K more than you can do for her, even if he can't cut grass or grab a weed whacker to save his life. So you just got to take that into account. It's not purely a social construct.
100, man. But yeah, you can do all of that fly Superman stuff, and like you said, cut grass, take out trash, wash cars, pay the bills. If you're still missing dominance in some categories, bruh, you lose. So him talking about all of this good stuff he can provide and all this other stuff and blah, blah, blah. And hey, look, man, they want the whole thing. They want fantasy man. You know, what I call him before? Frankenstein man. It's literally an amalgamation of all of their fantasies, and they put it together in one superhuman that you can never compete with. So even if you're holding it down in all of these categories, the thought in the mind of not everybody's perfect, but this guy's doing a hell of a job. Yeah, he's missing this and that because nobody's perfect, but all of these other bases are covered. I got to catch. That's not the logic. The logic goes, if you want to call it that, I'm not getting enough attention. We're not doing enough this. I don't feel special enough. I don't whoop the yop the yops. And then now you're down the rabbit hole of whatever. So he can say all of these things, but truth be told, bro, while you out here on your mission, man, just work on dominance and just work on getting yourself right out here. It'll do you well instead of investing your time and emotions in situations where it's not going to be necessarily appreciated. So for him saying these things where it's like, hey, the guys are doing all this work, but she's still saying she needs X amount of this, X amount of that. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, what can you do but to work on yourself? So while you're working on yourself, you can do this in a relationship or whatever. But the key is you got to dominate. Like you literally got to go out there and dunk on them all the time. Put it this way, man. Part of the domination scale is financial, and the other parts is, sexual for sure. And if you're not pushing those buttons in there dominantly, she knows there's more dominant action out there. Hey, man, put it to the test. She's freaky, man. Even the nice calm ones. And they're looking to get pushed over that edge sexually, and that requires a dominant action. They be wanting some wild stuff, man. And if you never push that envelope, she's going to be like, So you got to be sexually dominant in this world. You got to be sexually dominant, financially dominant, and all this other stuff, just for them to feel like, hey, they got themselves a catch. So, hey, man, I wish it was another thing going on. I wish people saw people for who they were. And then, people can just love each other, knowing that each party is not perfect. I wish that could be a thing, but unfortunately, if you're a male in North America, you have to be Superman. You got to be super sensitive yet super stern. All the contradictions, man. And but I say this is my last thing. I'll say this: dominate, fellas. Put up those triple doubles.
Yeah. Shouts out to DJ Cash D. He's on the chat. He says a lot of these women want a man with money so that they don't have to spend theirs. Yeah, I agree. I do think that they would rather spend your money instead of theirs, but I also think that innately, on like a cerebral level, they interpret being able to spend another man's money as a form of domination. They interpret that as like some sort of quasi form of masculinity. So for a lot of women, whatever they interpret as masculine, they're going to gravitate towards that, even if it's a warped, inaccurate form of masculinity. The fact is they perceive it as masculine, so they're going to just simply be more attracted to that. So I kind of feel like these sentiments are nice. That's why I said it's sweet. I just don't know how practical it is, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be a comparison that takes place. And if she is able to look at another option as superior in these respects, and this is just me, and maybe I've become cynical and jaded when it comes to my viewpoint on this, but I kind of feel like,
No.
okay, I don't think I am, but sometimes I like to kind of give reason the benefit of the doubt. And I kind of feel like all of that connection stuff is cool, but they will take a lesser connection, but more of those other things before they take a stronger connection, but a guy who's not tall, who can't defend himself, who isn't strong, or all of these other things that they say that they like. So it is incumbent upon most men to just kind of adhere to that. And you've spoken on this before, and I'm also inclined to agree with this as well. Like, dudes got to be strategic with how they choose their women. Like, if you know that you are $30,000 to $40,000 a year guy, you got to get with woman who's $25,000 to $35,000 a year woman. Like, you being 30 to 40K a year guy and you're getting with 75K a year woman, that's the likelihood of it lasting is not high. It is not. And it doesn't, your connection can be real strong and sustainable, and she can really love you for who you are as a person. But at the end of the day, she's out earning you to such a large degree that she is going to be wondering whether there is better out there for her. It just is what it is. So I think what he's saying is cool, but I don't know how practical it is, like I said. And it's easy for him to say that when he's already a top 10% person. Like, I don't really hear too many sub top 10% men talking like this. But, I guess it's cool that he's trying to encourage the masses, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, again, just dominate, fellas. Just dominate. And if your money ain't right, you got to be dominating everywhere else, bro. And like I said, man, she nasty, bro. Push those buttons. No, because push those buttons, because that's their whole shtick, is an excuse to do all the nasty stuff they want to do. But they're not going to come out and say it. So they just want somebody to literally press that button so the fun can come out. And I'm telling you, if you're not dominant in the process, you know what I'm saying? If you wanted a new age, legs up in the air guys, that's not the move. So you really have to assert dominance and masculinity on them at all times. So the bedroom is a good example. That's why I'm bringing that up, because trust me, you know what I'm saying? They'll take it there if you take it there on the dominant stuff. And so they put everything in buckets and categories, and they just be checking stuff off the list. Is he dominant here? Dominant. And just like you said, this is tying in. Yeah, man. Find the scales, bro. Like, y'all both making the same kind of salary. That's iffy. You gotta make more, man. You gotta make more. And if you ain't there, That's when you're working on your self-mastery, getting yourself right, so you can put yourself in a position so you're in a better pool of income, so you can make better moves. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, work on yourselves and and dominate. And Mamba, man, just Mamba it.
We could also have a longer form conversation on why it is that women are out earning men, because he's right. I've mentioned that before, and if you look up any current business model statistic, it shows that women are rapidly outpacing men in terms of salary and career opportunity. There's a longer form conversation to be had as to why that is taking place, because there's a reason for that, and it has contributed to some of this difficulty. But that's a conversation for another day. So
yeah, damn.
Good luck out there, men. Write your mission statements out. Don't listen to any of the current social dialogue that is trying to convince you that not being a man is the right way to go. So,
yep. Take it strong to the basket. Dunk on them every time. Every time.
Speaking of masculine,
Yeah.
Sexyy Redd recently talked about the most romantic gesture that a man ever made towards her, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who has not seen this. Although, if you heard any of her music or follow her even remotely, this should not come as a shock or surprise. We recently talked about Sexyy Redd on this channel because there was a small bit of controversy that she drummed up via her Rolling Loud performance, because she came out onto the set holding leashes that had men attached to the other ends of those leashes. And so there was this small conversation going on as to whether she is contributing to the emasculation of black men, because there were, of course, black men who were on these leashes that she was parading around the stage. So, providing a little context here, this article says Sexyy Redd says the most romantic gesture she's received was a robbery. During a recent interview with Montreality, Sexyy Redd opened up about her love life. More specifically, the Pound Town rapper revealed the most romantic thing a guy has ever done for her. One might expect a story of rose petals and chocolates, but apparently that's just not Sexy style. She shared that the gesture to win her heart above all was, in fact, a robbery. So, I'm not even going to read the quote. I'll just go ahead and play the video. And this is Sexyy Redd talking about how romantic it was that a guy committed a robbery for her.
The most romantic thing somebody did for me, it was my first boyfriend. I was just in high school. He was a little older than me, and it was Valentine's Day. I'll never forget. He robbed somebody and gave me the money and gave me the bill he stole, and it was just so sweet because he was out of breath and stuff. He's like, "Here, I just got this for you." I was like, "Oh, so sweet. Thank you," because nobody never did nothing like that for me. He stole for me, so I'm like, "Oh, you did that for me, really?" And I know he didn't have it. So the fact that you still made a way and you did what you had to do, that was nice. And it was only $13, but it was nice. And it was a fake Gucci belt. But I was so, it was sweet.
Jeez, oh my God.
Oh, so once again, man, two two sweet topics in a row. How sweet is that? Tyler Perry telling women to date men who don't make that much money, and Sexyy Redd talking about how sweet it was that a man robbed for her. See, isn't that nice? We've been positive here on the Conscious Approach channel this evening. How about that?
Yeah, how about it, right?
Yeah, man. I could tell by the look on your face that you are in tremendous approval of this for sure.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and expound on your approval of Miss Sexyy Redd's comments there?
Yeah, I wish I did approve of this. This boy. I saved it. I saw the headline of this, and I saved my reaction for this, and I'm speechless. Honestly, I don't understand. I didn't see the comment section for this, so hopefully there was a ratio in the favor of how ridiculous this was. But I'm pretty sure it was more of people laughing with her instead of laughing at her. I'm pretty sure that ratio was strong. So it's just the state of society, man, of where it's going to be headed, honestly, because the impact of this, although people may think they're feeling it now, they haven't felt it yet. And the hammer for this type of behavior is going to be coming within the next 5 to 10 years. And so people can laugh it off now and think it's a joke now. But in actuality, this is the worst forms of mind control I have ever seen. And this industry plant of a woman who has no talent, you know, outside of being literally a back page woman, she, you know, she's a disgrace. You know, you've mentioned this before and other things, but this is just modern minstrel stuff. And she's literally just jigabooing all over the place with a stack of money in her hand, going everywhere, literally saying the most foul things, you know, shooting freestyles outside of Popeyes. I'm like, what kind of industry thing is this? And the wild part about it is the people that are getting caught up in the wave. Hey, I get it. They have her song playing on every other video on TikTok. So you ain't got no choice but to start yelling all of the little whatever's. You know, they play it on the radio and all this other thing. So the programming is easily accessible. So for one to fall into the trap, I don't blame you. Only thing I'm here to say is it is a trap. And it is set there for you to walk right up in it and think that it's just entertainment. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to see a lot of Sexyy Redd clones. Now, how the hell is that going to look? Lord have mercy. I thought the Nicki Minaj clones were disgusting enough. But if these women start parading around, and imagine the evolved level of this, because this is the evolved level of Nicki Minaj. So what's the next tier? Lord have mercy. How do you feel about this situation, man? Because I can go on for hours about this disgrace. How do you feel about it, bro?
Yeah, you speak of Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is, aren't they married? Nicki Minaj's husband is a guy who was convicted of rape.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great.
So I mean, yeah, great. Sorry about that. Great. So I mean, the apple does not fall far from the tree in terms of these acolytes who spawn in the wake of someone who sets the trend. We did 2 videos that we did. This reminded me of. A while back, we did a video where Ari Fletcher talked about how, you know, she knows her man loves her when he pulls his gun on her.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, obviously, we applied logic to that conversation because we both found that to be a reprehensible thing to say. Yes. But nevertheless, that's a sentiment that is shared amongst a lot of women, particularly women who come from the type of background that she comes from. And then there was another video that we did in which, you know, the Instagram model, she was also on Basketball Wives. I don't know what the hell you call these women because I don't know what they do. But Aisha Diaz talked about how, you know, she has the blueprint for how to hold the fort down for your man whenever he goes away to prison, as if that's a reasonable expectation to maintain, that you are going to have to at some point hold down the fort for your man while he's doing a prison bid. The danger inherent in this kind of dangerous rhetoric, obviously, isn't that there are people who are saying this stuff. It is that these individuals who, in fact, are industry plants, as you so eloquently put it, are made to become popular enough as pop cultural influences that, you know, they can sort of spread the seed into the mentality of regular everyday people who can now be granted permission to believe that a sign of love is actually a show of violence or emasculation. So, newsflash to all of the people out here in the world, especially a lot of you women who ascribe to this kind of mindset. A man who pulls his gun on you is actually an individual who is lacking in manhood and masculinity, not the opposite. It is not necessarily a show of love for him to pull his gun on you. That's ridiculous. Um, Likewise, it should not be a reasonable expectation for you to have a plan in place in order for you to hold down the fort when your guy gets bammed up by going to prison. That shouldn't be a reasonable expectation. That is a manifested construct via the music industry and these various other forms of mind control that has been perpetuated throughout society, convincing particularly younger generations to believe that this is normalized behavior, and it is not. So, follow this stuff if you will. I would advise you not to, because it is very dangerous to listen to stuff like this. And it's getting even more hectic because now you got people out here who are just like from the middle class, growing up in 2-parent households, and even these dudes who are well to do are out here committing to stunts like this because they think that's what you have to do in order to appeal to today's woman. And that's a serious problem. But don't take my word for it. We can just kind of sit back and watch time fly. And as you said, in the next 5 to 10 years, we can see the fruits of this labor, because we are most certainly going to see it. At some point, I would imagine. Well, I believe she already has children, so I can imagine what that household is like. But her and women like her will continue to have children, and they are going to continue to rear children with these types of mentalities. And you can say that we are just kind of blowing smoke or being too serious or taking this too seriously. I would disagree, because there's a reason why there's a reason why her song is number one or as highly streamed as it is. There's a reason why when she makes comments like this, she ends up on hotnewhiphop.com, or she's getting invited to sit on podcasts, or you got people like Drake shouting her out on Instagram. Like, these people are actually influencers. And so when you have people like this who have 1, 2, 3 million followers saying the most romantic guy ever did was commit a robbery for me, you can only imagine how many other people out here in the world who do not have the capacity to think for themselves are going to subconsciously glean this as a type of behavior that they can replicate. And it's going to happen because it always happens, because in the world, the stratification of people's mindsets is a real thing. There's a certain percentage of people who understand how to think for themselves and not take things literally. And then you have the majority of the population who does not understand that and actually follows people like this as some sort of leader. So be careful with that stuff. Ladies, I hope you don't think that your man needs to be out here robbing for you. That's crazy. And for a lot of you dudes out there who kind of worship this music stuff a little too harshly or a little too hard, know who you are. If you ain't about that life, don't be out here thinking that you need to do goofy shit like this just to get the attention of these botted out women like this, because you don't really have to. Learn how to think for yourself.
Yeah, and that was a good thing you said there about how they're like influencers, because I never really looked at it that way. But now that we have that term and people know what influencers are, we can say that these industries, these labels, they hire influencers not to just push album sales, it's to push ideologies, lifestyles. And they're influencers for lifestyles and ideologies, ways of thinking, ways of moving, ways to spend your money, ways to fall in love, ways to make, how to hustle, step by step, how to make cocaine. And so when they're pushing these things, these labels are literally funding operations on how to get people to think in this stupid ass box. And then you look at the community and it's looking post-apocalyptic because literally there's atom bombs in all of the songs. So when people go out there and they start living their lives, they literally start acting this madness out. So the danger of Sexyy Redd. So this whole shtick here is dangerous. There's people that are of age enough that should be wise enough to see what's going on here. And if you can't draw the parallels to what happened when you were a child to what they're doing to these generation of kids, you should be alarmed by this type of behavior. This should not be promoted by people in their 30s. I be seeing grown ass people talking about it's sexy. It's like, bro, sit down. What's wrong with you? Man, the song, I can't get it out my head. Oh, so you eating niggas ass. Y'all on that. What happens when that part of the song come up, bro? What's going on right now? Men are bumping Sexyy Redd, acting like, talking about it's given. Y'all getting weird, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all letting social media control your vernacular. Now y'all talking like the females in these comment sections, talking like the kids in the comment section. When you look at the comment section, ain't nothing but women and children. And then you see grown ass men mimicking the vernacular of them. It's disgusting what's going on these social media things. And so this is being allowed by everybody. So I'm just here to say, hey man, if you got caught up in the wave, I'm not hating on you. This is a call to action to wake up. This here is mind control 101. This woman can't even think for herself.
Mm-hmm.
She was barely getting out the words to what she had to say to explain this little story. Just like Kodak, either doped up out of their mind or they was in that class with all the small people, the small classrooms. You know what I'm saying? So y'all better be, hey, don't say nobody warned you.
Those are all facts, man. Well, those are all facts. Shouts out again to DJ Cash D. He said, "Future mothers of America." That's the danger. That's the dangerous part about it, though, is that these people, and I've mentioned this before. It reminds me of the Chris Rock joke, where he was talking about being a single dude, and I think he was talking about, and mind you, this was back in like the late 90s. This was like back in 1998, 1999. And I forget whether it was Bigger and Blacker or Never Scared. It was one of those stand-up specials that he did where he was talking about how women are bumping a lot of the words to what was back then salacious content. Stuff like Yin Yang Twins. Yin Yang Twins now pales in comparison to the subjectivism that's going on today. But back then, but back then, to the windows, to the walls, to the sweat drop down my balls was salacious. And Chris Rock was talking about how all of these women are talking about this stuff, rapping along to the words skeet, 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 skeet. And he was saying, and the punchline to the joke was, I feel sorry for the men who have to pick a wife out of this bunch. Right. But that's correct though, because and me as a single guy, I'm fearful for myself. I'm fearful for my nephew. He's going to have to, my nephew in particular, maybe not me, I might be safe. But my nephew in particular, my nephew's 13, and he's staring down the barrel of a world in which he has to pick a wife out of a bunch of women who are rapping along to Pound Town. And any other form of shenanigans that are coming out of the words of this vagina rap culture now. And I think the point that we were trying to make when it comes to the whole notion about whether she's contributing to black male emasculation, and at least for me, I'll speak for myself, I was saying don't come at her as if she created it. She might be perpetuating the notion, but she didn't necessarily create it. It was created by like the entertainment industry and the music industry. And you are believing in this stuff as gospel instead of filtering through it as a form of fictional entertainment. So us believing in that stuff really is on you, bro. It's not on Sexyy Redd. You don't have to listen to her. Like, no one's forcing you to listen to it. but we are so sheepish and we conform so heavily to this stuff that we're going to do it anyway, and we are basically just going to be shepherds to the flock. And that's what you see going on here. But in real time, the trickle down effect is the most worrisome part about it. And the fact that these are people who are listening to stuff like what she has to say, they believe it, and then they're going out and they're emulating the behavior, and then they're having children, and then those children are going to repeat the cycle. That's what causes it to become an issue. So yeah, it's all fun and games now, but 15, 20 years from now, when more women look like her and talk like her, and the men are just completely subservient, getting themselves eaten out, as you said, and all this other stuff, then we'll have to reflect on how worth it was for us to embrace this stuff and worship it the way that we do.
Good luck.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird, man. But yeah, man. Shouts out to all you dudes trying to show your love to these women by robbing people. Good luck with that. Let me know how it goes. Jesus Christ.
Oh man. 2023.
Oh, industry plant.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got to touch on Stephen A. Smith, friend of the channel. Stephen A. Smith recently joined Joe Budden on his podcast, and Joe Budden asked Stephen A. Smith how he feels about some of the stories that sort of surround the exit of Max Kellerman from First Take. And Stephen A. Smith owned up to the role that he played in Max Kellerman being booted from First Take. So we've talked, we like to pay attention to sports media on this channel. We find it interesting. So we don't necessarily comment on the comments that these people make, but we do like to. Okay, yeah, now I am noticing a lag whenever I share the videos. So we don't like to necessarily comment on these individuals' takes. We more so like to comment on the shows and the production of these shows themselves. So Joe Budden asked Stephen A. Smith about First Take and the circumstances surrounding Max Kellerman no longer being there, and this is what Stephen A. Smith had to say.
What do you say to the people that say they saw the tension between you and Max developing on air before his departure from the show? Did you hear any of that?
I heard some of it. I would take full responsibility for that. That's totally my fault.
Okay.
And the reason why it was my fault, because I didn't like working with him, man. It's just that damn simple. I didn't like it. I thought the show was stale. I thought that we had flatlined when it came to the public at large, and I'm trying to win. I mean, I didn't want to go from number 1 to number 2 when Skip left. That's not what I wasn't having. That shit was not going to happen.
Did anything in the numbers say that you might have been headed that way?
No, but to me it did.
Creatively.
To me it did, not just creatively, but the consistency of the number.
Got it.
In other words, it wasn't going this way.
Yeah.
It was just there. And not only that, it's like us being in this room right now. Come on, y'all. Y'all know the difference between something that's stale and something you pumped up for. You just know.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I was feeling. And it was like, listen, I had mad respect from him from the standpoint that white dude, highly intelligent, Ivy League educated from Columbia, smart as a whip, can talk his ass off, can talk about anything. And I get all of that. But you weren't an athlete and you weren't a journalist. And the absence of the two components left people wondering, why should we listen to you? Okay, well, you might have had that figured out on Sports Nation, or you might have had that figured out on another show. But on this show, if you looked at the content emanating in the social stratosphere, meaning YouTube and other components that you use to measure one's cachet, Q ratings, focus groups, all of these different things, it was like I was damn near doing the show by myself because we were oceans apart in terms of cachet. Well, how are you oceans apart from me if you sit right across from me 5 days a week for the whole 2 hours? Because one of us is resonating and one of us is not. And
Wow.
Man, they were oceans apart.
Boy, that.
Oceans apart.
Wow.
You know, I'll go ahead and start with this one.
Go for it.
So it's seeing stuff like this that informs me that I am simply not the target market for any of these shows. I exist. I might watch these. I might watch these shows, but I firmly believe that I exist outside of the target market for these shows. Because when people like Stephen A. Smith talk about the supposed audience and what they want, there's a disconnect between me and that audience. I don't fit in with that audience, clearly, because I am someone who believes that that show has been worse since Max Kellerman was kicked off. Honestly, I do. I truly do. So, like, let me now. Maybe I'm tripping. Okay. So let me ask you, as someone who also consumes sports content, I'm gonna just list off a bunch of names of people who are on First Take on a regular basis, and I'm gonna ask you whether you think those people are more interesting to listen to, or who do you prefer to watch on television more, them or Max Kellerman? Okay, so let's start with Dan Orlovsky. So
Max.
who do you think is more interesting, Max or Dan Orlovsky?
Max. It's not even close.
Okay, who do you think is more interesting, Max or Chris Russo?
Max.
Who do you think is more interesting, Max or Mina Kimes?
Max.
Who do you think is more interesting, Max or Marcus Spears?
Max.
That's what I'm saying. Who do you think is more interesting, Max or who else do they bring on there? Max or Jeff Saturday?
Oh, Max. What's the other dude they bring on there? It's the black dude.
Ryan Clark.
Glasses. Nah, he with the glasses, big dude. I forgot. He be on there with Shannon and be on there now and stuff too. I forgot bro name.
But big black dude.
Canty.
Oh yeah. What about you? Think who's more interesting?
I would take Canty over Max. Okay. I think that guy's really good.
Would you take Shannon Sharp over Max?
Yeah.
Okay, I would too. So that's 2 out of how many that I just mentioned here. Who do you think is better, Max on television, Max or Ryan Clark?
Max. I don't want to hear Ryan Clark.
So, like, and listen, no shade against any of those people that I mentioned. I'm just trying to juxtapose Max Kellerman to what they contribute to those shows. In my opinion, Max brought more intelligence and nuance to First Take, which is something that the show needed in lieu of Skip Bayless, who was just a gas bag who just threw flames all day, every day. So according to Stephen A. Smith, though, Stephen A. Smith says that the audience didn't resonate with Max, or rather Max didn't resonate with the audience. So clearly there's a disconnect, and I am not a part of the audience, because when I watch First Take now, except when Shannon Sharp is there, and Shannon Sharp is brand new. He just got there like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I feel like the quality of the show has deteriorated. But I am someone who prefers to consume nuanced, intelligent content. This is why I've gravitated more towards Fox shows, with the exception of Undisputed. I think Undisputed has become a clown show. But those other shows on Fox, to me, are far better, far smarter. Colin Cowherd, Speak, First Things First. All 3 of those shows are better than anything that comes on ESPN, in my opinion. And it's like, what are we doing here? So I guess I'm just disconnected from the audience. I don't really necessarily have an analyzation of what Stephen A. Smith is saying here. You know, obviously he's following along with this stuff, right? So if he says he looked at the numbers and saw that it had flatlined and that he contributed most of that to Max because he feels like Max was the reason why it had flatlined, then fine. He's looking at this stuff. I'm not. But I don't agree with that. So I guess I don't agree with the audience because I feel like the show has gotten worse. It's dumber. It's more gas baggery. It's louder. It's less smart. You just got a bunch of people on there just talking and not being nuanced, and it's annoying. It's like the whole show has become a parade of Kendrick Perkins every day, except when Shannon Sharp is there, because they'll just give these takes that are lacking in any kind of nuance, and it's as simple as, quarterback won more games, so quarterback is better, or quarterback puts up these numbers, so quarterback is MVP candidate. And the rest of these lazy arguments that these people come up with and get paid handsomely to deliver on television. So, it's unfortunate. I guess my summation, if you will, is that it's unfortunate that the audience of First Take felt as though Kellerman was dragging the show down. That's pretty much all that I can say. If I'm to take Stephen A. Smith at his word, if I'm to believe what Stephen A. Smith is saying, it's unfortunate that the audience felt as though the drag on this thing was Kellerman, because in my opinion, the drag on it now is everybody else that they put on there, except for Shannon Sharp, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know what the numbers look like after he left. They're probably going to report it to be higher or whatever.
According to Stephen A. Smith, it's going back up and they're number one and killing everything again. But at the same time, I think part of that has to also do with the fact that Undisputed now is demonstrably worse. So it might be it might be a combination of two things going on at the same time, like new people being on the show, but also Undisputed being noticeably worse.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't take it. When they have the ensemble cast, it's wild when Molly becomes a highlight of the show. And it's like, I'd rather hear what Molly got to say, because she'll interject and say some real shit every once in a while, or make the segment interesting, because these people are so boring. So I can't stand it. There's not much, like you said, there's not much nuance to the conversation. Max brought that. He's kind of nerdy in the Nick Wright kind of way. He can get in there and debate. He's a good debater. Because right now it looked like Stephen A. and Shannon just skipping and holding hands the whole goddamn time. And it's just like, it's not that I want to see this, but it's supposed to be a sports debate show, is it not? And but it's just a weird energy they got going on. I think Shannon got to get settled in, but I don't really care for this either. I think his notion or his thought process is that he's box office and that Max is not. But I looked at it as a good Batman and Robin, a good ketchup and mustard, situation where it's just like, okay, well, they go together, but they work. I thought it worked.
Me too.
So for them to bring all these other people in and just, give them, all this other stuff, I couldn't stand it. It became unbearable. And so especially the NBA stuff, it was just, I mean, nobody knows anything. So I don't care. I never weighed in that Max never played any sports or did any of that stuff. Whenever he opened his mouth, he ain't say nothing dumb. Even if I disagreed with him, it was still a good talking point.
Mm-hmm.
So so I always was a fan of his. But for this to happen, and then for him to get removed from ESPN completely, all of this was a shock. I feel like he's a talent. And so, hopefully Fox picks him up or something like that. But, Stephen A. just talking about, straight up, he just saying like the brother and all this other stuff. And it was like, damn, boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
And so it comes off real I egotistical, but you don't make it to Stephen A.'s stature. You don't make it as far as he done made it if you don't have that seed in you. And it's clearly within him. And he'll windmill all over Max 1, 2, or 3 times just so he can stay in that spot. So if somebody's that slime, No wonder he's way at the top of the food chain when it comes to this media stuff, because he plays it just as vicious as anybody else. That's why as soon as anybody comes to him, he has this excuse me type of moment on his own little show where he's letting everybody know, oh, I don't give a damn. I'll play dirty. You know what I'm saying? I'm a vulture. You know what I'm saying? I am a piranha in these waters. So that's the type of mode he got, and that's the kind of energy that was sitting on that couch dunking all over Max. So Stephen A, he's a character. I can't lie. He is entertaining. If I do want to get a good laugh, he's providing that for me lately. So yeah, it's kind of funny stuff he's been doing.
Yeah. Oh, and he most certainly leans into his egotism now more than ever.
Mhm.
Pretty much on a daily basis on the show,
Mhm.
they'll get tangential, and somehow he'll start talking about how much of a draw he is, or his connections, or how he's in the suite, or how he's on the private jet, or he's really leaning into his egotism more now than ever,
Yeah.
because the show belongs to him now more than ever. I didn't finish playing that whole clip because it was about 4 minutes long, but towards the end, he talks about how he knew he didn't have the power to get rid of Max, but he had access to the people who did have the power to get rid of Max. And he basically gave those people an ultimatum. I don't want to work with Max anymore. So either Max can stay on the show and I can move on, or we can just kind of, go ahead and break up and go on our separate ways. And I can stay and Max can go. And then, I guess Stephen A. Smith is a greater, superstar, I guess. And they obviously made the move to get rid of Max. But I mean, it's weird. It's like none of that stuff factors into my thinking either. Like when I watch these shows, I don't care whether someone's an ex-athlete or a journalist or not. Do they sound knowledgeable on the things that they are saying? Do they make sense? Do they make salient points? And do they make me think about a particular topic in a way that I didn't think about it before? That's all I care about. Are you interesting in that way? And I always thought that he was. I loved it when they replaced, because after Skip left, they did that whole weird rotation thing too, before they settled on Kellerman being the permanent other debater. And I thought it was a great move. The show was great after that. And, then they did what they did. So I don't know. What do I know? Clearly nothing, because according to Stephen A. Smith, the show is as popular as it's ever been, and it's as big a ratings draw as it has ever been. So clearly I don't know shit. But when I tune in and I watch that stuff, as background noise while I'm working in my home office, there's nothing that makes me stop my work to be like, damn, that was some real insightful shit that they just had to say there. It's more so just, okay, more cookie cutter, run of the mill, media gas bagging mumbo jumbo. That's just kind of how I look at it now. So,
and you right about him getting real egoish on that show, because I done seen some little clips, multiple, of him eye humping Molly, like recently. So just type in Stephen A. looking at Molly. Y'all see the little clips of him, you know what I'm saying, taking a little double. Look, hey, bro, watch out before you get Me Too'd. You know what I'm saying? or made you doked. You know what I'm saying? From your little position, because yeah, you should see those clips, bro. Like, sheesh, it's like I don't know what's going on. The only thing she got to do is just holler foul, and he's out of there. So yeah, be careful, Stephen A, because that'll be a dumbass reason to lose your job.
It would be, and he bet not believe that he is above that, because no one is above that. No one is above that machine. No one.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Whatever. Shouts out to Fox and the good shows on Fox, man. 100. Ooh, okay. So this is interesting. So Special Ed was recently on on Drink Champs. I don't know why I mixed that up. Special Ed was recently on Drink Champs and talked about how he believes as though the destruction of hip hop began with the emergence of NWA. So this is interesting. Maybe we should have done this one after the Sexyy Redd video, because they are kind of somewhat related in terms of mind control.
Mhm.
But check this clip out. So again, this is a Special Ed old school hip hop guy speaking on NWA, hip hop, and Wu-Tang Clan.
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Wu-Tang is for the kids.
Wu-Tang
Now,
for the
you know what?
children.
Besides that, man, Wu-Tang was dropping knowledge and positivity.
Right.
You know, NWA brought the age of destruction.
Damn. Jesus Christ.
NWA brought the age of destruction to our children and our culture.
Wow.
Period. Hey, I respect all of them as men.
Right.
But as the art form, and you want me to speak on the art form, I'm gonna tell you what it is. That's where it started.
Wow.
That's where the agenda started, and that's where the destruction began.
Of gangster rap, you would give that to them, or was it Ice-T?
Well, Ice-T, yeah, Ice-T did that. I ain't say they started gangster rap, but what happened was when the president sent them that letter, they went ham with that shit.
Right.
Like, you know, and they had more of a presence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ice-T did his numbers back. You know, he did his thing. That's my OG too, Ice-T. But NWA ran away with it in such a way where it was like, for real,
Word.
that's all we gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, it was genius for them, and they made millions of dollars off of it. But look at what it caused. You
They
feel
said
me?
fuck the police early.
Yeah, we always saying fuck the police, but they said it on record.
On record.
Absolutely. For the record. And I respect them for that too.
But NWA or
Very interesting.
All right, so yeah, we've also brought up the influence of NWA on this channel before in the past. What did you think about what Special Ed had to say there?
I mean, I nailed it, bro. Like I should put a clip. I should put a clip together. Where I literally said that bar for bar. And but yeah, man, that's I 1000% agree. He used the perfect words when, you know, the agenda started. You know, it got real messy after that. And so yeah, this does tie into the Sexyy Redd content because it's literally the same machine that was pushing an agenda for destruction. And look at the fruits of the NWA. Because it's not like, you know, crack did the situation, you know, it did the hood pretty bad, right? But there was still some sense of community things happening to a degree, you know. But this whole glorifying selling drugs, this whole, you know, glorifying gang mentality and all this other stuff, you know, being a thug and all these other things, you know, that started in the early 90s, and it wasn't any sound sonically, as he mentioned, like NWA before. Like it may be a song here, but they were going on every track, similar to like how we brought up before with Jeezy. There was people who talked about cocaine way before Jeezy started rapping, but it was how Jeezy put it. It's like, you're doing this on every song, and it's like, and every bar is about cocaine. Like, who does this? And it didn't stop, and then it started a trend. And so now these girls out here talking about selling box, doing whatever, finessing men, and it's not just one song here once, it's every track. It's a whole persona. And so you can look back on each one of these forms of influence and then look at the impact that it's had on our community ever since that trend got started. So that's why I brought up and I said, hey, you thought Sexyy Redd was hitting the streets now. No, her impact is going to be felt 5 to 10 years from now. And so now we can look back. This empirical data. We can look back and see what's been going on since NWA came out. And it sparked a whole new form of rap, basically. And then it also created within the community a mindset that is geared toward self-destruction instead of self-improvement. And then last thing, and I'll let you go. We had also brought up a thing on here where it was Melly Mel, and he was talking about, you know, the origins of hip hop or whatever. And he was talking about basically Eminem and stuff, but the origins of hip hop, he should know. Well, he coined the term, and hip is for putting people on game. The hop is the dance, the bop part. You put the two together, it's putting you on game, on beat. So he says that hip hop is something that puts you on game. Rap is this garbage that started with NWA. So mumble rap is a product of rap, which is a product of NWA, not a product of hip hop. These are subgenres, and they got everybody hooked on rap. So the mind control is pervasive. This stuff has nothing to do with it. So for him to choose Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang is more hip hop than NWA. So I totally agree. I got more to say. How about you, bro? How do you feel about this, him?
Yeah, NWA by and large predates me. It's kind of before my time. They were around when I was alive, but I wasn't socially aware when NWA was at its height. However, you brought up Jeezy, and that's exactly where I was going to go. The dynamic that Special Ed was describing in his take reminds me of Jeezy to the T, because there were rappers who, like T.I., for example, T.I. will claim that he created trap rap first. And T.I. was around before Jeezy. However, Jeezy did it in such a way tonally, he took it to a whole different level, to where for me, I identify trap rap and I identify the emergence of trap rap directly with Jeezy. Because the sound that Jeezy put out there, the way that those beats went, and how he rapped with the beats and how he flowed on the beats and went in with his ad libs and all of that. And like you said, how every song was built around the idea of you doing this hustling stuff. Nobody did it before him. So I attribute the emergence of it to him far more than any of his contemporaries, such as T.I., who will try to claim that they started it first. So that's kind of how I look at the NWA thing. Is you might look at it and say that type of mentality or tone or that form of rap or hip hop, because I do also agree with you that it is being conflated, was going on and it preceded NWA, but the way that they kind of took it to an entire new level, backed by an industry that was run by people who did not look like them, which is really the key to this whole situation. They took it to heights that were previously unparalleled. So I'm inclined to agree with him as well. And yes, you never know what the cultural ramifications of this form of content are until you are several generations removed from it. And people need to understand the importance of realizing that this stuff is fictional entertainment. It is not meant for you to replicate it in your everyday life on a daily basis, to where this is going to be the mentality that you sort of ingratiate yourself in. So I hear what he's saying. Again, I'm the last person to sit up here and pray tell to be some hip hop historian who can sort of dissect and pick and parse. Well, NWA was like this, but De La Soul was like this, and Leaders of the New School and all of these other. All of that stuff is before my time, quite frankly. But hearing the way he speaks on it, I can relate it to some of the things that are within my time to get an understanding of what he is trying to say. Because you do have a lot of these newer rappers in the game now who are Jeezy acolytes and who took what Jeezy started in the mid 2000s, ran with it, and now you have all of these little Jeezy disciples out here putting out this garbage music about, murder, death, kill, drug and gun bars in every other song. And those songs are what gets put on my Sirius XM more than the other music, So you can take that for what it's will. I do hear what he's saying, and I agree. And listen, man, it is what it is. The music is a pervasive form of content. It should not be perceived as real life, but you have a difficult time explaining to people who come from the same socioeconomic background as the people who put this music on, trying to tell them that it's not real life. But hey, guys, listen, this stuff isn't real. It's entertainment. You really should be listening to this music the same way that you go to the movie theater and watch a movie, because it really is all the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And last thing I'll say is, for anybody who may be thinking that I'm a little too harsh on the fact that this stuff is considered mind control, and you can separate fact from fiction and actually enjoy the entertainment while also not busting your guns or selling bricks of cocaine while you work your corporate job. I understand that. But here's a challenge that I'll give you. All right. Just listen to classical music for 5 days straight. Whatever form of music you listen to, current rap, old rap, R&B, whatever you currently listen to, don't. And listen to classical music for 5 days. I really want to say 7, but I'll give you 5. And watch how your thoughts change and your energy change. When you don't have somebody audibly barking orders to you on how to think, love, spend your money, missions in life, how to deal and cope with stress, these people are barking orders to you. You may not think it like that. It's just entertainment. Just listen to some classical stuff for 5 days. Then I bet by day 2 or 3, hell, it's going to be hour 1, if you want to be honest, you'll start to see that your patterns, your thought patterns are now changing. So give it a try and then let me know how it goes. And then from there, then maybe you probably put a little bit more credence, on the fact that this music does control minds. Because if it didn't, I would argue that look at life before NWA, look at life after, look at life before Lil Wayne and Jeezy and Future, look at life after. Now look at life after Sexyy Redd, and let me know how life goes after that. Wild stuff, man.
Yeah, definitely wild stuff. Yeah, that's good advice. Hopefully somebody who watched this video will heed that. But yeah, it's crazy, man. This stuff is highly suggestive. It isn't as simple as thinking that it's just music, that's for sure.
Nah.
Now, you brought this to my attention. Yeah. So apparently there's a trend on the internet, social media, whatever you want to call it, where men are being asked how often they think about the Roman Empire. So, this is new to me. So here is a clip from The View where they are talking about this. Once again, this is new to me. So I am kind of learning on the fly with anyone else who is unfamiliar with this particular goofy internet sensation. So we will go ahead and obviously opine on what is the current thing going on TikTok or wherever else this stuff is going on, in which, you have to kind of sit down and apparently reflect and evaluate on how often you think about the Roman Empire.
There's this topic on TikTok where women are asking the men in their lives one simple but rather bizarre question. Watch.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
It's technically like every day.
Okay. How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
3 times a day.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
At least 3 or 4 times a week.
Women are always asking, what do men think about? You look at them and they have this empty look on their face all the time.
Yeah.
Say, what's going on in your mind? And they go, nothing. Well, now we know. It's the Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire.
What is that about?
I wrote Max and I said, do you ever think about the Roman Empire? And it's the quickest response I got. Yes. And then Anna, who works here at the show.
That's good enough right there.
Happy birthday.
They're scratching at the table now.
Yeah. All right. So, so this is a thing. I have given up trying to understand why humans are the way that they are. To quote Dr. Dre from The Watcher on the Chronic 2001, I just sit back and watch time fly.
Okay.
I don't get this, but perhaps you can enlighten me on what the hell is going on with this situation. Is the Roman Empire supposed to be? First of all, I think all of this is lies. I do not think any of these people think about the Roman Empire 3 or 4 times a day. I think that is complete bullshit. But whatever, I don't get it. What is happening with this?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I saw it on TikToks. I saw it when it first got started. Just a regular old video where a girl was just saying that guys always thinking about the Roman Empire, and then some woman hit, asked her boyfriend, and then it just started a whole trend. He was like, I don't know, once a week, I don't know, and now it's become a thing. There's videos all over the place. There's the ones that look staged, and then there's the ones that look genuine. And some answers are like, once a month, or I don't know, a couple times a month, stuff like that. So some of it seems like, some people will actually think of that. But most of the guys, there was a black dude in there, but most of the guys that they're asking this are, of Caucasians. So since they're asking these guys, when you look and you want to look back at an empire that speaks to you and speaks to your culture, they look at the Roman thing, and that's what speaks to them, And so I just said on the flip side, people that are African Americans, right? They tend to think of like Egypt and stuff like that, Kemet, right? And they tend to think of those types of empire. At least that's what I do. So I don't go around thinking about the Roman Empire. There are particular ways that I think about the Roman Empire, but it's not glorification. So I look at the Roman Empire in a different way, but I do look at ancient Egypt and other ancient cultures, and I do think about that all the time. And so the reason that I think about it all the time is because, well, history indeed does repeat itself, and we're living in very large cycles. And then there's a lot of parallels that you can draw between what's going on now and what happened back then. And so it's very interesting to see the nature of man. And if you have the eye, when you're reading some of the history, you can actually see it happening and also see how none of that has ever changed. That is still going on. But so some of those people just wearing suits and ties. So I look at yeah. So I look at ancient history all the time in my mind's eye. It's literally daily. So I don't necessarily Roman Empire, but definitely about ancient history. What about you, man? So how do you feel about this? I mean, even so, real or not, this trend or however, how often do you think of the Roman Empire? And if you don't, do you think of any ancient empire?
I think about the Roman Empire every time I watch the movie Gladiator. That's about it. Gladiator is one of my favorite movies, and so the only time that Roman Empire is on my mind is when I watch the movie Gladiator every now and again. Other than that, I don't think about the Roman Empire almost ever. So this to me is weird, goofy, social media weirdo stuff. Honestly, that's kind of how I look at this. To me, this is conformity at its finest. That's all it is. It's people who want to be able to. It's people who want to be able to participate in a social media trend, because that's what we do now, is just follow. We are a legion, a society of followers, and we want to be able to get a bunch of likes and comments and perhaps maybe a couple of new followers on our own individual social media pages. And so whatever wave we can hop on in order to try and facilitate that taking place, we'll hop on it. And so what's the current thing? How often we think about the Roman Empire? Cool. Let me post about that so I can get instant gratification and internet validation via all of the comments and the likes on my post whenever I post my participation on this particular trend. That's kind of how I look at it in a nutshell. I just think of it as goofy behavior. I will say this, though. And this is where I will get a little deep, if you will. It's ironic. It's ironic. It's ironic, right? Or maybe it isn't, that the ancient civilization that is being cited here is the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire falls into the bucket of the many other ancient civilizations that reached a certain height and then eventually crumbled under the weight of extraordinary decadence.
Right.
So what's remarkable about that is here in America, and you might as well say the world too, although we live in America. I'm not worldly, so I'll just keep it to America. We are currently experiencing that crumbling process where you reach the height of your civilization and then you crumble under the weight of extraordinary decadence. See hip hop music, Sexyy Redd, the sexual marketplace, Instagram, OnlyFans, gender and sexual identity, the educational system, politics, music, entertainment, streaming shows. I mean, where do I stop? I mean, really, I can just continue here. Social services. What else? You can just go on and on and on and on and on. But all of these various cultural observations that you can cite are examples of extraordinary decadence. And so I while I'm not necessarily going to argue causation, I will argue correlation. I'm a holler correlation, and I'm going to say that I find it very interesting that we are talking about a Roman Empire trend when the Roman Empire crumbled under the weight of extraordinary decadence. And here we are in Western culture, specifically in America, actively crumbling under the weight of extraordinary decadence. So
yes,
maybe some of y'all who love the Roman Empire so much, who love this weirdo stuff that we are trying to force on our population to embrace nowadays, maybe you can take some cues from your constant thoughts on the Roman Empire and understand maybe we shouldn't do some of the stuff that the Romans did so that we can stave off how fast we are quickly crumbling. That's pretty much the only take that I have on that. And environmental degradation as well. That's another example of how we are crumbling under the weight of extraordinary decadence. I got to run a list here, people. There's examples all over the place. I just named a few of them, the easy ones to point out. But there you go. So have your Roman Empire. Y'all have fun thinking about the Roman Empire 3 or 4 times a day. Y'all, to me, it's goofy behavior. I never think about the Roman Empire, but there you go.
Hey, well said, bro. I couldn't agree more. That was I didn't think of that angle, but right on. Gotta wonder why this is even a trend in the first place and making it to The View. I don't know why they want us to think about that. Maybe they're trying to tell us something. Maybe you guys are done for here in America. Maybe that's what's going on. Hey, study your history, man, because like I said earlier, man, it does repeat itself, and it seems like we at that precipice. So
yes,
enjoy.
Yeah, we're definitely at the precipice. I actually think that we are on the descent. We reached the precipice, and now we are on a now we're on a descent for sure. Those parties that they used to throw in ancient Rome, see modern day pizza party. See modern day pizza party.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
If you want to get a glimpse on how close we are to what's going on, or how close we are to what went on back then, just look up pizza parties on Google. Just Google it. All right, Elon Musk is going to start charging y'all to use X, formerly known as Twitter. And it apparently has some people not too happy about that. But before we get into the fact that people might have to start paying to use Twitter, let's hear from Elon Musk on his reasoning as to why there is going to be a fee in the near future associated with the use of X, formerly known as Twitter.
Unbelievable.
This is actually a super tough problem, and it's probably really, I say that maybe the single most important reason that we're moving to having a small monthly payment for use of the X system is it's the only way I can think of to combat vast armies of bots, because a bot costs a fraction of a penny, call it a tenth of a penny, but if somebody even has to pay a few dollars or something, some minor amount, the effective cost of bots is very high, and then you also have to get a new payment method every time you have a new bot. So that actually, the constraint of how many different credit cards you can find even on the dark web or whatever, this and then prioritizing posts that are written by basically X premium subscribers, and we're actually going to come out with a lower tier pricing. So it's, we want it to be just a small amount of money. This is and it's a longer discussion, but in my view, this is actually the only defense against vast armies of bots.
That's bullshit.
All right, so he claims that he's doing it to offset bots and botting. That's his reasoning, is that we are all going to start, well, not we are all, because I don't really use that thing like that, but people who fancy themselves Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, aficionados, to use a Stephen A. Smith word, are going to start paying a small fee, and he is saying that it's the only way to kill the bots is to institute a fee. So what say you about Mr. Musk and the paygate, the paywall now for Twitter?
Oh boy, you talk about an industry plant. This guy, I mean, what's the difference? This is just the corporate version, and I could barely understand when he was saying like Sexyy Redd too. It's like they were speaking the same goddamn language. You want to tell me that this guy is one of the smartest men in the world? Anywho's, I still think that this is just the new corporate excuse that they're going to use for bots littering the internet. But if you're dealing with these swindlers, those bots are going to find workarounds. So I'm not buying the cap that it's here to stop bots, because you can't stop bots. So they're going to find a way to still get up in there with the 18 plus content and all they weird little stuff, spamming everything. It's still going to be up in there. So I don't want to hear it. So I think what they're going to do now is this is going to be the new corporate excuse that they're going to use across all platforms, because nobody likes bots. But I'm telling you right now, you're still going to pay this little premium. Hey, it's just $3.99. It's just $3.99. It's just $3.99. Yeah.
But watch it go up and up. But watch it go up every year.
Oh yeah.
It ain't gonna stay whatever price it starts at. It ain't gonna stay there.
Yeah, because the infrastructure, and bandwidth, and save it, man, save it, bruh. This thing been free for the longest because it can be run free. Even when the world is upside down financially, all these apps are still free. Not anymore. So now they're gonna start making us pay for this because, well, they got to tax the people. And so these are just new forms of taxation. I say, hey, man, he's been trying to run us off Twitter since he got it, So I think this will put the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. I know for sure me, it ain't no need for me to have it no more. I'm not gonna pay whatever small fee they're charging me, So how do you feel about this, Mr. Elon Musk mumbling his way to telling you guys that you're gonna start paying a small monthly fee for X?
Yeah, I think he's full of shit. He's a capitalist,
right?
And as a capitalist, he is going to figure out any and every way to monetize all of his holdings. And if you look through the history of his acquisition of this thing, he originally was talking shit, saying y'all don't know how to run this thing. I could buy it from you and run it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. And then they put the deal together, And then all of a sudden he decided, I don't want to buy it no more because y'all don't have a handle on the bot situation. So then he tried to pull out of the deal. And I think like the SEC, the government got involved, basically saying, hey, man, you're going to have to buy this thing. You can't just renege on this deal now. You know, there was some sort of impropriety that took place. The fact of the matter, the reason why I'm bringing this up is his acquisition of this now is tantamount to his ability to be able to monetize it in the best way possible, in the most optimal way possible, because he's like, I'll try to pull out. I didn't want to buy it no more. Y'all made me buy it. Now I own it. So I'm finna make sure that I make money on it because I own it now. And so this has nothing, I personally, call me a skeptic, I don't think this has anything to do with controlling bots. I just think it has to do with this platform becoming profitable and making money.
Right.
And because he now owns it, he's the proprietor. He wants to have it bleed black, not red. So he wants to make money. Simple as that. This is capitalism at its finest, and it's new wave tech STEM app capitalism, where you know it's the people at the top, the ultra wealthy and the billionaires who can afford to get in on the ground floor with this stuff, being able to monetize it in such a way and squeeze the modern everyday consumer as much as possible, who decides that they still want to be a part of this ecosystem. Now, if you ask me, you don't need to be a part of this. I mean, I have an account, but once they start exercising everybody who ain't paying for it, I'm pretty sure mine is going to end up being defunct. And I strongly encourage anyone else who feels as though they don't need to be a part of this, just don't go with it. Don't spend your money on it, because all you're doing is contributing to toxic capitalism. That's all this is. It has nothing to do with bots, because as you intimated, and I agree, these savvy people, hackers, and these people who know how to put this stuff out there, they are modders. They always find a way. They always find a way. Okay,
Right.
It's like Ian Malcolm said in the first Jurassic Park movie, life finds a way. These botters and these modders, they always find a way around whatever workaround you come up with. They're going to find a workaround around your workaround. So it's impossible to keep them out for good. It's not going to happen. This is just a way to monetize the platform to make it make money. It's going to introduce premium subscription-based content to Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the very near future, Twitter becomes a direct competitor with OnlyFans. You know, Musk is going to create an aperture of Twitter, X, whatever, where it's like, hey, you want to put your subscription-based premium content on us and you're a content creator, come on over here to X, because we'll charge you less, or rather we'll take less of a percentage of what you make on your page than OnlyFans does. And it's going to start that whole premium subscription content war. That's all this is. And then all of these talentless, females and all the rest of these people who run these OnlyFans pages can take their crap to OnlyFans, can take their crap to X, and continue to brainwash the masses over on X instead of OnlyFans, because now they can get a bigger cut of their content. And so that's kind of how I see this stuff playing out. It's a war of attrition when it comes to apps, technology, and who can make the most money the fastest and get rid of the competition the more swiftly. That's pretty much how I see this paying out. I don't think it has anything to do with bots. I just think it has everything to do with making money.
Yep, I agree, bro. And that's what I'm saying. This is going to be a trend set. So, look out, guys. They're going to start making y'all pay for other things that should be free. So I just think this is also going to just start a whole new trend of everybody paying for everything, because the monthly subscriptions for other things are going up, man. And nobody's stopping. So free shit, you're going to have to start paying for it, or suffer the hellified consequences of new age ads that are so pervasive and getting on my goddamn nerves. So, hey, good luck. I ain't really messing with Twitter or X anyway. So this is be no sweat off my back. But I know there's a lot of people that get it how they live up in there, and I think this is whack. But I honestly, those people that live up in there like that, they so cracked out on it, they gonna pay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I really can't judge them per se, but still, it's like I still think that's whack. It's whack. I don't like it.
Yeah. I just think that it's a technological war of attrition. It's a capitalistic technological war of attrition. That's what I think it is. It's an arms race to see who can acquire the most stuff that has the most amount of users. And then once you have acquired the most stuff that has the most amount of users, figure out a way to monetize all of those users. And so that's all this is. They have a Twitter, I'm still calling it Twitter, has a shit ton of user. Well, shit ton. According to the numbers, only like 40% of the country is actually using Twitter. And I'm inclined to believe that because me personally, I don't know a single person personally who uses it. I think it's mostly used for people. I think it's mostly used for like journalists and influencers. You know, people like Woj from the NBA insiders, people like Woj and Adam Schefter, and people who are in the public limelight, who have a following like that, who like to just disseminate a message real quickly. These are the only people who are actually using that thing. But normal, regular, everyday people aren't on Twitter like that. But there's still a large user base. And a lot of the user base of that platform retains a significant amount of discretionary income. And so why not monetize that? Why not tax them? Are they going to leave? As you said, I don't think so. Because if Stephen A. Smith has 3, 4, 5 million Twitter followers, you ain't gonna give that up. So you're gonna figure out a way to pay for it, or whomever is gonna pay for it. And that's all it is. It's just an arms race to monetize it. But regular everyday people, I think that this is not necessarily something that's going to affect them until they enter the premium subscription-based business. That's when it's going to affect normal everyday people, because a lot of y'all dungeon living dudes out here with these OnlyFans subscriptions are now going to have to decide whether you're going to keep your OnlyFans subscription or follow your favorite OnlyFans models over to their new X page. And that's going to be a conundrum for you. And good luck making that tough decision.
Decisions, bro. You know which one they're choosing, bro. It's sticking with OF until the OF content gets on X.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know what they ain't gonna do though. We know they ain't gonna cancel. That's what we do know. They ain't gonna cancel. Oh boy,
get off the dope.
Good luck.
Get off the dope.
Yeah, good luck to all y'all Twitter and X users out there. I hope it's worth it when y'all start paying that monthly fee. Nothing in this world is free anymore. I can't even use Bitly no more. They done started charging now. So what are you going to do? But that'll do it for tonight's stream. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shouts out to DJ Cash D, who was on the chat tonight, man. Appreciate your contributions to the stream. Last little comment that he left there. He said, buy Doge if you want to use X in the future. I will pass on that, but anyone else who heard that comment can go ahead and heed that advice. My name is JV Wins. That of course is Dogon SS. You can follow me on the IG at JV Wins, JVWINS, and you can also follow Conscious Approach on IG at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Join us along for the ride. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment on this or any other video on the channel. Let us know what you think. We certainly appreciate you supporting this logical content. And if you happen to be catching any of our content on the Facebook/Meta page, go ahead and follow that page as well. We certainly appreciate that. Until next time, thank you for the support. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video.
And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also on DraftKings, come holler at me. It's football season. Come get slaughtered. Send at me a challenge. I will slaughter you. All right. So Dogon _SS over there too. And also Hurricane Dogon here on YouTube. Goddamn. And as I say on every part, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. All right. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
That we will. Fellas, write your mission statements. Go
please.
Seminoles 3-0. Go Dolphins 2-0. Looking good out there. Everything's starting off good, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. We will see you on the next video. We out. Peace.
Peace. Yeah. Go Canes. Go Canes. Go Buffs. Go prime time.